Welcome back to the Comic Dudes, a podcast about comic books and comic book related things. And we are finally doing it. We're talking about the Ninja Turtles. We have referenced the Ninja Turtles since the very first episodes of this podcast. We are now on episode, I think it's episode 58. And we're just now talking about the Ninja Turtles for the first time. Tell them what we did, Matt.
So the reading assignment this week was we read the first 7 issues of the Mirage, right? Mirage,
Yep.
originally
The OG.
published Mirage series, the OG series. This was, when IDW has the rights now, I know it's been repackaged or reprinted. So there's also, they're called Ultimate Collections, I think they are. Ultimate Color, or the Color Classics, if you do read it that way. So if you read the first volume of the Color Classics, you can kind of see what we're talking about that way. But we really just I wanted to look back and read some of the OG Ninja Turtles and where they really came from.
This is what started it all.
This is what started off.
This is the phenomenon starting event. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 has led to so many things. You've got a very, very deep and expansive comic book collection throughout multiple publishers, multiple years. It's been at Mirage, it's been at Image, it's currently at IDW. It was also at Archie when they were doing the TMNT Adventures book.
Oh yeah, I remember that when I was little.
Yep. It's been a cult classic cartoon in the 80s and the 90s. It's also been reinvented many times, some less successfully than others, at Nickelodeon, who now currently owns the Ninja Turtles. So they've got multiple cartoon series that have come out of this one comic. You've got live action movies. You've got one fantastic CG animated movie from 2007.
That was a good movie.
That also takes place in the same universe as the 3 live action movies, which got progressively worse as each movie came out. And we're getting a new animated Ninja Turtles movie this year from Seth Rogen. There's also a huge toy line from, I think it was the 90s. Tons of action figures around the time that the Turtles were at their most popular during that sort of 80s and 90s time frame. And then a ton of collectibles since then. The Ninja Turtles have become sort of a pop culture icon. Everyone knows who the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are now. And if you know who the Ninja Turtles are, you like, people make jokes about like eating pizza, the Ninja Turtles, skateboarding. Like, most people know the Ninja Turtles from the cartoons and sort of the slapstick side of the Ninja Turtles. But that's not how things always were. And that's what we get into with these first 7 issues plus a couple extras in the collection that I read.
So I'm chuckling and can't hold my laughter back, is because I believe, based on in your collection of statues and action figures and that, you are a big fan of the live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 90s version of the movie. Specifically the first. I don't know about the second one, but I know you're a fan of the first one, right? You think
they get progressively worse with each movie.
So,
the first one's phenomenal. Okay. Secret of the Ooze is still very, very good. And Turtles 3 is a dumpster fire.
So Turtles 3 is the one that I actually remember, and that's the one I've probably seen the most, if I'm being completely honest.
So bad.
It's so bad. They like time travel and go back to feudal Japan. It is horrific, but that's the one I feel like I've definitely seen the most.
It's also, if you put side by side, just take one of the Turtles, take Leonardo, and do side by side original Secret of the Ooze and then Turtles 3, and the costuming gets progressively hokier as the movie franchise marches on.
Oh my goodness. So I want to pose a question before we get into these comic issues.
Yeah, please do.
So the question I want to pose to you is, can you really be in love with something if you don't know it? If you're not fully, can you really say that you love something if you don't truly know it?
I feel like this is a trap, but I mean, the answer is no,
Okay.
probably not.
Okay. It's not necessarily a trap. I
Well,
I say I love the Ninja Turtles. Like I really
yeah,
do.
yeah.
But after reading this, I don't know if I truly know the Ninja Turtles like I think I know them. So my this is not a reflection of trap on you. I'm trapping myself. Um
Yeah,
my experiences with the 80, late 80s, early
yeah,
90s,
yeah,
slapstick here or there. I mean, I've seen those movies like once, which that is something I do want to revisit with you. The '90s movies and the first two specifically. I want to make that a priority that we should do that at some point.
yeah.
Um,
Please, I'd
so
love to.
that's like the concept of the Ninja Turtles to me. So when we read this, I knew this was going to be a darker take. I did know this was going to be more serious than the slapstick '80s take. Have you also ever seen the movie, the animated film? I think we might have watched it together at one point. But Turtles Forever, do you remember that in like
Yeah, that thing's
2009,
great.
where it's like
Yeah,
it's like a crossover, and they like go
yeah.
back, and it's like kind of like a Spider Verse thing where they visit the original Mirage. Spoilers, sorry. They visit the original Mirage turtles in
I think it's
there.
okay.
Yeah,
It's
just
like 14 years old, man. It's okay to
hey
talk
man,
about
hey man.
spoilers.
It's someone's probably watching that right now. They were watching it and they paused their movie to listen to this episode. So I just want to
Yeah,
throw the
maybe.
disclaimer up. Spoilers. Skip ahead a couple seconds, but in that movie, the turtles go back and visit the Mirage turtles, and they're so serious. And I think one was like, "Why are you guys so serious all the time?" Like Mikey says that to him. And if you read this material, you'll definitely understand why
So
they're so serious.
the same thing happens in Batman and TMNT.
What do you
The
mean?
the OG
Oh,
turtles are in that one too.
are they
There's
really?
some, yeah,
The crossover book you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh, I might have to
Well, yeah.
check
It's
that.
it's also they made it into like an animated movie too.
Oh, that movie. Yeah, yeah. I might have
Yeah,
to check this out.
yeah. You
Well,
should. You should. Okay, so to the topic at hand,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I will say to address a little bit of what you said about can you love something if you don't truly know it.
That might be an
I will
episode.
also I will also say you can love something without loving all aspects of it.
Okay.
You can love a person and there can still be things about that person that you're not in love with. And
Okay.
that I think is a fantastic segue into this discussion around the first 7 issues of the Mirage TMNT. Look, man, let's this they wrote this in the 80s. This was during a time comics were different and independent comics specifically were not as high production quality, as readily available, as well known. Eastman and Laird self-published this thing. They are
Yeah.
Mirage Comics at the time. They were like doing this in their living room or whatever. Had enough money scraped up to do a short run of the first issue. Not ever thinking that it was going to go beyond one issue. And I think that's for a lot of creators, a lot of creatives, not just in comics, but you don't assume that your creation will explode to the level of popularity that the Ninja Turtles ultimately did. But for most people, as a creative, you're making something that you're proud of, or that you're doing that you would enjoy, or you're working through something, you're trying to get some sort of emotion out of you and out into the world just to unburden yourself. A lot of people aren't doing this for anything other than the catharsis of creation.
Yeah.
So, um, I got to give them a pass on what happened in the first issue. And for all they knew, they were doing a one of one
Oh,
story,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know? Like you get the origin, you find out what happened, and then they fucking kill Shredder. Like it's like bam boom pow, he's fucking dead. He's 6 feet
Dead.
underground.
My man's pulling
Yeah.
that. I remember what that perk was in the Call of Duty 4, like back in the day when he has a grenade. Like when you die,
I
you
don't know.
drop the grenade,
Oh,
and
oh,
you kill the guy with you. It's
yeah.
like martyrdom.
What was
Martyrdom
that?
is, I think it's martyrdom.
Yes,
It,
yes, yes.
like, everyone had martyrdom. You die, you just drop a
Yeah,
grenade. That's what Shredder pretty
yeah.
much did.
Like the way this whole thing played out, it was Splinter finally tells the turtles, "Hey, this is where I'm from, and this is why we are the way we are, and this is
Yep.
what the Foot Clan is. Now, please go and murder my
Yeah,
enemy."
like he's the lead, like the leader. Like, go kill this guy. Like, there's literally no
Yeah,
reason they go. They're like, he's like, go get revenge and kill this guy because he killed my master.
yeah, crazy.
Not very heroic, but
No, no, it was
brutal.
very much League of Assassins type of Ra's al Ghul. You need to go to Gotham and kill the detective.
Now that
He's
you say
pointing
that,
them boys like a weapon. They're like 15 years old.
yeah.
He's just sending them on a mission to kill.
You know what? Now that you say that, he is kind of Ra's al Ghoulish. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely a one and done kind of story.
Yeah. I also there's so much, and this is in all of these issues because this is just an older comic, but
Yeah,
this is during a time where there's a lot of thought bubbles and like boxes of dialogue explaining what someone is doing. This was just during a time before the modernization of the art form and the artists' evolution themselves to be able to communicate some of that stuff with the art rather than make me sit and painfully read all of this character's thoughts. So
I must
there's
say,
a lot of that in here too. It was tough to get through.
I really enjoyed like the first 3 issues. Just as I'm getting like older, like there's a lot, and I'm jumping off of your like thought bubbles and dialogue. There's just a lot of that. I enjoyed that because the stories were very like one and done. And I talk about decompressed stories a lot. Like you have to read the entire arc. You got to buy 6 issues. One, you're right. Like this first issue, they clearly like, we're going to scrape some money together. We're going to put this book out. We'll see what it does. It's our passion project. And one and done. That's what we kind of expected. And then it kind of took off from there. But the issue 2 was a little bit even more one and done. When you hit issues like 4 through 7, they kind of told more of like an arc over those 3 issues than the first 3, if that makes sense. So I did
Yes
enjoy
and
that
no.
kind of decompressed. There was like a little carryover, but not, I don't know. In my opinion.
Well, so for me, when reading it in the Color Classics,
yeah,
the Raphael micro series and the Michelangelo micro series were thrown in here in places. The Raphael micro series was put in during the Baxter Stockman Mousers thing.
Okay.
When Raphael went to go and look for Splinter after they found that he was missing.
Okay.
Then you get the Raphael micro series, which is when he meets Casey Jones. That's when Casey Jones is first introduced into the Turtles.
Oh, that's dope.
The second one, the Michelangelo micro series, takes place smack dab in the middle of that Triceratons little, like the dimensional travel. They met Honeycutt / Fugitoid and all that stuff. Like smack dab in the middle of that, they stuck the Michelangelo micro series in, and it was a Christmas one shot.
Your favorite. Those are some of your favorite issues too.
Yeah, like it made no sense, like in context of everything. Like the turtles had just been transported to this other planet and met Fugitoid, and then the next issue, I was back in New York City, and Mikey was stopping like a bank robbery or something. There was like some toys that were stolen. He was like driving around in a van with April. He was so weird and out of place. I don't know why. I don't know. This IDW, this is why your stock is like getting delisted from the New York Stock Exchange, because you've done weird things like this that people go, "What are you doing? I don't want to buy your comics anymore."
Was this like mid-issue? It was like mid-issue they put it in there?
No, it was in between 2 issues.
In between 2. Oh, I thought you meant
of the Triceraton story.
Even though I thought it was going to be even more egregious if it was just like in the middle between 2 issues.
I mean, it might as well. What's it matter? It makes no sense contextually, no matter where it's placed. It either need to be before or after, not in the middle of.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
make
agree.
sense. And the Casey Jones Raphael thing was good, but
Okay.
dude, they wrote Casey like super. I I, I took down a couple of notes about it,
Okay.
and the initial Casey Jones offering in the Mirage Volume 1 Turtle series, he's a little unhinged. There's a
Okay.
couple of times where he's like beating a purse snatcher in an alleyway, and Raphael is like, "Bro, like you're gonna kill him. Stop it. Don't like knock it off." And then they'd fight a little bit, and then Casey would hit him with a bat or something and knock Raphael down, and then he'd like jump like over a car and dart through traffic, and there'd be a word balloon coming out from Casey that said "hee hee hee hee." And I'm like, what is this? What is he doing? Why is he making that sound? What is going on? It was very bizarre.
You know it's bad when Raphael's like, "Bro, calm down."
Yeah,
when he's the voice of
but
reason.
that's
Like, yeah,
again, our lens for this is we have 30-ish years of experience with the turtles. It's very far removed from the original source material. The first introduction of Casey Jones, Eastman and Laird would have no inclination whatsoever that Casey would be as important to the mythos of the Ninja Turtles as he is today. And they wrote him as just this unhinged vigilante that wears a hockey mask and beats criminals almost to death in the streets. And it feels like they were using Casey as a mirror for Raphael, because there was a lot of talk in those first couple issues about how Raphael gets really angry, and he's got, Leonardo reins him in a couple of times and tells him to calm down. And I think the reason why they introduced Casey in such an extreme and unhinged version of himself was so they could send Raphael to have this encounter, and Raphael kind of gets a look in the mirror and say, "Wow, I this is where I'm headed. Maybe I should back it down a little bit. I need to be a little smarter with the way I express my emotions."
is that how he's normally played though? Because that's kind of how I thought he was played. Maybe like not Casey to that kind of level, but like I feel like the comics I've read, like Casey is a little bit of that mirror, and like to help
Hmm.
Raphael think. Like I feel like that's when you see the warmer side of
Yeah.
Raphael is when
Yeah, for
Casey
sure.
is like his brother. Like like they.
Hmm.
That's the one of the importances of the Casey Jones character. I know you know that character way
But
more than I do, but maybe not
not
maniacal
that much
Joker
more.
cackling, but
Right, yeah,
like
that's what I mean. Like the Casey and Raphael relationship today is much more
it's different.
brotherly and based on a a brotherly type of friendship where they get on each other's nerves and they don't
Yes,
always agree, but they're still at the end of the day like we're brothers and everything's fine.
yes.
But Casey was much more of an antagonist in this initial offering up. Um, so some of the other stuff that I've written down,
Yeah.
it's actually a little it's a little on the derogatory side.
Okay.
So there's some stuff. There's there's a lot of witty banter, and I have witty banter written down in quotations
Okay.
that I think at the time may have been considered witty, but by today's standards is relatively corny. Um, there's a lot of old sound effect word usage, like the biff boom pow type of '60s Batman stuff. There's a lot of that in here too, which I've read some of this stuff before a long time ago. I don't remember it being so corny. And I hate to say that. It feels sacrilegious to even say that because I love the Ninja Turtles so much. Maybe I'm just more critical now because the comic book form is in such a very good and progressive place with high definition scans and beautiful, panel transitions and a guided view if you're reading digitally, and the art does so much more storytelling that the words had to do back in the day.
You just
Perhaps I'm
got done
jaded.
reading 48 issues of Robert Kirkman. You're reading.
Right.
It's like you're
Yeah,
going from
like
that to this. Like I don't know.
yeah. There's one scene, there's like I think it's in the Mousers Baxter Stockman story
Yep.
where they're in April's van getting chased by a cop car or something, Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was
Is
issue
that
like the
is
third.
that
That was
accurate?
that was the second
Yeah,
issue. Yeah.
it's yeah, yeah. And Leonardo makes a comment to April, something about he goes, "Oh, look at you, Richard Petty," or "Richard Petty ain't
Yeah,
got nothing
I
on
got.
you," or something to that
I did.
effect.
There was definitely a Richard Petty reference. Yep.
I'm glad you got that. I was ready to take you down to the mat if you didn't know who Richard Petty was.
Oh, dude, I know who Richard Petty was.
You call yourself a NASCAR fan.
He's got that hat,
Just
dude.
want to make sure.
Glasses. Those
Just want to make
glasses.
sure.
Everybody. STP car, baby. Come on, Richard Petty.
I also really loved Baxter Stockman threatening to blow up the World Trade Center.
Yeah, that
I
was. I
think
was like, oh, that's.
did anyone check Bin Laden's paddock for some old Ninja Turtles comics?
Maybe
What if he got the idea for this from Eastman and Laird? What if it's their fault that this happened?
he did watch a lot
Eastman
of
and Laird
videos.
caused 9/11. It wasn't George Bush. It was the Ninja Turtles.
It was Eastman and Laird directly. Back on Baxter Stockman.
They're on the payroll, man.
Back on Baxter Stockman, real quick. I mean, I'm the guy who's the traditionalist. Isn't in those movies, the second movie, isn't he a white dude? In the second Ninja Turtles,
Baxter Stockman's not in the second Ninja Turtles movie, is he?
Who's that? Who's the scientist?
The scientist?
Yeah,
he's just some random TGRI guy.
Okay, all right. I'll shut up.
That's not Baxter Stockman.
All right,
That's not Baxter Stockman.
I thought they made Baxter white. I'm like, why'd they take one?
Baxter might have been white in the cartoon.
Cartoon, arcade game. I was like, they took one from us.
I mean, he was a big fly guy.
He was a big fly guy.
Like, so I don't remember if he was white or black before he turned into a fly. To be honest, I feel like he was white, and then the IDW fixed this and went back to the source material version of Baxter Stockman for the IDW ongoing series. Is I think what happened.
Yeah. Nah.
But I can't confirm that.
It's all right. Not the biggest deal in the world. I was just like, interesting.
Yeah. I also felt a little bit. I know you actually like the Triceraton stuff, but
it was okay. I like the gritty.
This was 4 issues into the comic, and all of a sudden we're going dimensional travel, talking Triceratops that walk on 2 legs, a robot that has the consciousness of a human put into it, little talking super smart brains that inhabit robot bodies that can. These guys were on some shit.
Yeah.
And I mean Eastman and Laird. They were, I don't know what they were high on. It was probably some sort of psychedelic. But man, they went from like issue 1 is so starkly different. It's like we are ninja. There's this clan of ninja from feudal Japan. We've got this mortal enemy. We've now killed him. Well, what's left to do? I guess interdimensional travel and talking Triceratops. I don't know. It felt like a crazy hard right, like a 90-degree turn in what I would have expected to be there at the genesis of the Ninja Turtles was very much not what I expected.
You were not wrong.
Also, April was simping super hard on the Turtles throughout all of this. They had her fucked up. She was like sitting at home worrying about them. She's known them for all of like 4 or 5 days. She's driving to the TCRI building. She's going back home. She's having all of these internal struggles and dialogue with herself about they'll be back soon. Yeah, like she was down bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. They got this woman so fast.
I haven't heard down bad. Oh shit! He said down bad. She was, dude. They were like, "Come pick us up." She brought the van quick, like real quick.
Yeah,
that's
for
some
real.
Loyalty,
yeah,
man. That's some loyalty. We need more of that.
I need to talk to Peter and Kevin about the way that they've decided to write April O'Neil in the beginning of this comic.
Oh my goodness.
I much prefer the independent, scrappy, kind of take no shit version of April we have today. I don't like the version of April in the middle that she learned ninjutsu and she was like fighting people, and like I'm not into that version of April, and I definitely don't like this OG version of April that is really kind of pathetic.
Got that Jerry curl. That's the through line of our podcast. You got that Jerry curl. From X-Men to this, got that Jerry curl, bro. Oh shit. I mean, I feel like you did this justice. I don't even like. I got lost with all the future stuff. Like the Tricer, I understood it to a certain extent, but like there's like neutrinos, and I've heard these words. And that's what I'm saying. Like I've heard
The
these words, but
neutrinos
I
haven't
don't know.
shown up
I
yet.
know, but I don't know
Yeah.
what they are. Like I don't know what Krang's brain people are called. Like I just know Krang.
Those are the Utroms.
Utrom, yeah. Like so,
Or Utroms. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Utrom, one of the two.
in the
I should know that. I know I should know that. I'm sorry that I don't.
I think you're right. It's like the Utrom, because there's like an art called the Utrom Empire or something. It's like Krang and his
Yeah.
people or whatever. But
Yeah.
like that, those humans in the future, like what are they? Are they just humans that the Triceratons are trying to like that
I
they're
guess
born with? Like
the dirty Federats.
yeah, the Federate. That was very like Terminator,
Corny.
like, yeah, corny, like
Corny.
1980s. I don't know,
Yeah.
Federats, yeah. So
Then they had to fight. They fought in like gladiatorial combat.
yeah, they
There was
straight up
that whole series of events with the announcers having some very. I hate to keep using the word corny, but it was some very basic and corny sports talk type of announcing with all of these hand-to-hand gladiatorial to the death combat events happening. For the four turtles fought four Triceratons.
yeah.
We finally got the Ninja Turtles doing ninja stuff again.
Yeah. A lot of Ninja Turtle, like, not that they don't have a code like they're Batman, but they wielded a lot more guns in this than I thought. They were quick to shoot somebody too. We're shooting people
and quick to kill. Yeah, I love that they're just killing people.
Yeah, that's where I was like, issue like the beginning of issue 1, they just get confronted by these like goons, and I'm pretty sure they kill them. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
do.
there's a red panel and shows a guy on the ground. Like they kill them.
Dead. They murder Shredder by the end of that issue. Like they killed everybody.
Foot Clan.
Like it was
dead.
We were in a 1-of-1 scenario, man. They didn't think they were doing more issues, so they told one self-contained story.
Dead is dead. You know we like that. So I mean,
unfortunately, it does not apply in this scenario because the Shredder does come back. He does not stay dead, as we all know. Just like at the end of the first movie, that Casey turned on that trash compactor in the garbage truck. That did not kill the Shredder somehow. That man is still alive and well in Secret of the Ooze.
Spoilers.
It's not a spoiler if it happened 30 years ago. You're just behind.
It's probably like 40.
So speaking of the movies,
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that happens in these first few issues that is directly translated into the live action movie, the first one.
Okay.
Even stuff from the Raphael micro series with Casey. A lot of the dialogue there is in the movie from that comic.
Those micro series, are those like new IDW stories Planet Enter? Were those like Eastman and Laird joints that like
those that's the original stuff.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that. I thought they were like,
yeah,
oh, we're gonna do our
no,
thing.
they did this. They did these things called micro series, and really all they were one shots. There's one for each turtle.
Okay, because IDW started doing those, so I didn't know. So they're like more paying homage to Eastman.
They're paying homage. Yeah,
that's cool. All right, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought IDW has done a great job with the Turtles license. To be honest, that's like the one thing that I really do like that they've done, and the Real American Hero stuff from G.I. Joe. But I don't want to sidebar. But yeah, I mean the movie stuff. I guess I just didn't remember, didn't realize how much from the original comics really did influence and make its way into that live action movie, and that the timing of that movie was relatively unfortunate because it came out right around the time that the slapstick cartoon was gaining popularity at an exponential rate. So you had a bunch of kids that loved this cartoon. They go to see this live action movie and the tone is much darker and much different. And then Paramount got nervous and subsequent films, each one had to be more and more kid friendly. If you notice in the second movie, the Turtles don't use their weapons as much. A lot of the fighting is it's more cartoonish, and there's almost none in Turtles 3. Also, in the first live action movie, Did you ever see it? Have you ever watched it?
I definitely have seen it. It's been a very long time, so I probably don't remember. But go ahead.
Okay, so I'll. Do you remember when they're staying with April at her
East Hampton, right?
parents,
And
like
like,
above? No, not at the farmhouse. When they're
okay,
staying above the antique store, and they have that big fight with the Foot Clan in the antique store.
vaguely
It's
yes.
right after. It's right after the Foot Clan beats the shit out of Raph on the
Okay,
roof.
yeah, and he's like in the
Raph
bathtub and
comes through the
stuff.
roof, and then the other three turtles with Casey at the end fight in the antique store. Antique store burns down. So
Okay,
at the start of that fight, they also don't know where Splinter's at because Splinter's been kidnapped at this point as well. The start of that fight, Leonardo is beating the shit out of some poor Foot Clan guy that just cannot keep up. And then he says to either Michelangelo or Donatello, he goes, "Hey, one of these guys must know where Splinter is. So don't kill him, knock them all out." Meaning we'll interrogate one after. And now, if you watch this movie on any streamer or buy a digital version of the movie, that scene has been edited. And now it says something to the effect of, "Hey, one of these guys must know where Splinter is. Just knock them all out." They took out the line where he says, "Don't kill them," because they're that afraid of too much adult thematic element in this first live action Ninja Turtles movie, which is really unfortunate.
that's sad.
And also makes me very happy that I have that on DVD and I have the version where Leonardo says, "Don't kill them." Because in the first live action Ninja Turtles movie, it was okay to kill faceless foot soldiers. Now it's not.
Preservation is important.
Digital preservation, I know that's a big deal to you.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
don't
yeah,
know,
man,
man.
that's it. That's the first 7 issues of the Ninja Turtles.
Killed it. It was fun.
I'm glad we did it.
I'm glad
I
we
didn't
did.
love it. I don't hate it. Got some good
You're
laughs on
indifferent.
it.
You're indifferent.
I'm not indifferent because I really did like some of it. Like the first issue was really good.
We,
The Triceratops stuff just kind of that was a bit too much too soon for me.
we could have read the first 3 and been good, pretty much. Like,
Yeah, maybe. I wanna keep reading these though because I want to get to
you
this
could-
City War
yeah.
stuff at the end.
The problem
Like
is
issues
digitally.
like 45 to 52 or something.
I don't know if they're all available. That's the only problem. I didn't look that far. I looked at single issues, and it only goes up to 20. But there are the collected editions, so it
Well,
probably goes that far.
they are available in the long boxes in my comic
go.
room here
There
at
you go.
home. So
Break 'em
I'm
off.
set. And if you'd also like to be set, I don't know what that means, but that's the transition that we have to work with today.
Damn it.
Tell a friend or family member about our podcast. Help spread the word. Our Twitter handles are also in the description of this video or audio episode. We post weekly episodes on Mondays on all audio podcast platforms as well as YouTube. We'd love it if you stuck around, give us a follow or a review, let us know what you're thinking. I tweet a whole lot more. I've been tweeting. I'm tweeting all the time now.
I appreciate
We'll follow you back. Follow us on Twitter. We'll talk about comics. So we'll be back in 7 days. I don't know what we'll be talking about. Maybe something comic book related. Until then, my name is Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Ninja, vanish!